All right, everybody, welcome to the Point Five show of the Pennymon Doctrine Podcast, the bonus show where we get down and intimate with fans, fellow podcasters, whatnot. We just have conversations and do what we do. And today we have a longtime friend, podcast friend, and why can't I unmute? What is going on?
Because he probably muted himself as well.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there, we got it.
So, longtime friend, podcast friend, and fellow podcaster, Dino Red of the Red Rock Podcast Network, home of the Shiznit Show, Pot of Thrones. What else you got going on, man?
Actually, right now, that's it. It's just the Shiznit Show and the Pot of Thrones. And, we have Light Skin Matters, too, which is just kind of a show every maybe quarterly or something like that, or as needed or as demanded.
That's what's up. You had that show with Gil.
With Gil of Onyx Truth Podcast, or the Onyx Truth, and Be Honest from the No Nonsense Show.
Okay, that's what's up. That was actually a really good, interesting, different kind of perspective. You don't really hear very often. You don't really hear light-skinned Black people talk about their I don't know, what would you say?
Endeavors.
Issues, or, their issues or their perspectives, especially the men, which is why we did it, because generally when you do hear the whole light skin versus dark skin thing mentioned, is generally from the perspective of women, right? When it is mentioned, but it's rarely ever talked about and the aspect of guys. And so, that was one of the things that kind of made me like think about it. I was like, hey, we have things that are unique to us, just like any other group, on earth. Any group that you can name, any kind of way you can break people down, whether it's by male and female, or by religion, or by skin tone or color, creed, whatever. They have different challenges and different things that are unique to them, and we're no different. And I was like, hey, let's do a show, and we can have fun with it. We could, do some silly, some fuckery, and we can also cover some real things at the same time. And it was pretty well received, man. I mean, actually, people liked it a lot. We have people who are really like asking us when's the next one coming out. So that's in the works.
That's what's up. I thought it was very interesting again, because like I was saying, you don't really hear that perspective because of the colorism that does exist within the Black community. Light-skinned Blacks are usually the most revered because in most cases, they have, the mixing in there, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes in it with that. But at the same time, there's still Black people, and they still got issues, they still got problems, and they got maybe come at things from a different perspective. But at the same token, you know what I mean? Like, intellectual honesty. That's the thing. That's the kick that I'm on right now is being intellectually honest, and that's something. This is a perspective you don't hear very often. What's your favorite point that you made, or favorite part of that show that you guys did? Like, what was the thing that you enjoyed the most?
Wow. To be honest, I don't know if I can narrow it down. One thing I like, just the fact that we were able to, really share, like I said, some things that people don't know are things. You know what I mean? Like how we talked about in Hollywood portrayal, of and the stereotypes of us, like that we're soft, light-skinned brothers, that is, we're soft, and you rarely see us in any kind of role that's cast. They're really cast as a tough guy, or a street guy. Whereas in real life, there's always some gangsters or thugs or whatever who are light skinned. But in the movies, We never get those roles. We get the nice guy, the guy who's good to the woman, and the dark skinned brother is the one who's always dogging the woman out. So it was like basically we're just talking about the stereotypes of any sort, are still stereotypes and need to be broken. You need to mix it up, because I made the joke that it sounded weird that there's three brothers complaining about not being cast as thugs. You know what I'm saying? Right. Whoever thought that would happen, but it wasn't so much that we think that we, need to be. Well, it's real. It's a real part of life. There are light-skinned thugs. There are light-skinned tough guys. There are light-skinned criminals. I mean, it's just a fact, And there are really good guys who are dark-skinned. There are really nice guys to women, to black women who are dark-skinned. It's not just us light-skinned guys. So, we need to mix it up. We need to break out of these boxes and mix it up.
Agreed.
Light-skinned criminal like that, dude. What was the guy that was all over
the model,
inmate?
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah, that guy. The women were going nuts over that dude.
Right.
He damn near broke the internet.
It was kind of like the point that I was making on the last show about. It wasn't directly correlated to this, but when we were talking about how hard it is for in the dating scene right now for people to get by, because we live in 2015 and we have these 1950s, dating rituals, or not prior to that, early 1900 dating rituals.
Oh man,
it just doesn't really mix. And so, but at the same token, these women that will say some stuff like, oh, well, you got to be a thug to approach me, or you got to be whatever to approach me, or whatever it is.
That's swag.
Or something, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Will be the same people that'll be like, well, Chris Brown can beat my ass anytime.
Michael Ealy.
Yeah, and I was that was a good point that I was gonna bring out is how you were talking about how light-skinned people are black people aren't usually cast as the hard one or the criminal or whatnot. What did you think of what's it called?
Perfect
Guy. Did you see that?
I did see that. As a matter of fact, that was my wife wanted to see that for her birthday, so we all went to go see that on her birthday.
I do remember you talking about that on the show. That's right.
Yeah. What did I think about it? I thought that it was. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a great movie. It was very. I kind of feel like it was kind of paint by the numbers. It was exactly what I expected. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Very similar to the few like it came out last year with Idris Elba and Taraji P. Henson. Actually, I actually think that one was a little bit better because it did have a little bit different, a little bit of a twist or a hook. I don't want to give it away to people who didn't see it, but I think the one with Idris was a little bit better than the one with Michael Ealy. But it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't anything special either.
So how many people were you talking to that may have said, well, I don't care what Michael Ealy would have done to me, he's so fine?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't say that I heard anybody say that recently, but I have heard women say things like that. But to backtrack a little bit about what you were saying about just relationships in this day and age, man, you really touched on something right there. I feel like relationships are very hard right now, and I think it's because I think a big part of it is because gender roles are in a state of flux, and so we're not all on the same page, about what we want out of the opposite sex. Particularly women, I think, are not on the same page with each other about what they want out of a guy or out of a man, and so some guys are confused, don't know what women want. And it's just, I don't think people realize how important gender roles are to a relationship, even if they're, even though they in the past they may have been unequitable, there was something to be said about everyone knowing their place, for lack of a better phrase. Not saying that it was right or wrong. I'm just saying that everyone knew what was expected of them. And gender roles there's not just negative, things or sexism, I should say. It's not just against women. There's sexist things that apply to men as well. It's just mostly, negatives for women, but there's some negatives for guys too. But it's just, there's a certain amount of comfort in knowing, your role or knowing your place. Just like a lot of people can be in a very bad relationship, but won't leave it just because men or women, because there's a certain amount of comfort and like what's that term? The devil, There's a certain amount of comfort of being familiar with the situation, and they would rather be in that bad relationship, bad marriage, than to divorce and go out and face the unknown. So there's a lot to be said about knowing your place or knowing your role, and we don't really know what that is right now. And I think that is one of the big reasons why men and women are having so much problems with relationships, and a lot of that, is I think I blame feminism.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
Well,
and
go ahead.
So, going on that, I can tell you as a girl that doesn't go by the gender role and all the other dating expectations. And I mean, people might be mad at me for saying this, but literally, so a girl wants a man who buys her flowers and remembers her birthday and wants to go shopping with her and wants to be completely supportive. But we're also the exact same woman that will be like, I don't know why he's got to come with me when I go shopping. Like, literally, it's true. Like, we know what we want. We know what we want to tell our friends to make them jealous. But it's not necessarily what is wanted in a relationship. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I got two things. One, I want to dig into that feminism thing. But before we get to that,
I bet you do.
I totally agree, though. I totally agree.
I just got that. That's what she said.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. But no, like, I mean, really, truly. So, like, I'm jumping ahead, but there's a meme that comes on the internet all the time about there's a girl knelt down, like maybe fixing a tire or something, and there's a guy leaning on the car.
Oh yeah,
next to her.
Right.
Like, so many, feminists, we can do things of ourselves and we're independent and we're strong. But then they're the same ones like, no, you treat her like a lady. You don't make her change a tire. Like, what? Which one is it?
Well,
do you want to know how to fix your own tire, or do you want to be mad?
Well, I'll say this. I don't necessarily agree that it's the same woman that says that. A lot of times it's a different woman, but basically the female population is divided into two. You have the feminists and maybe three. You have the feminists, the traditionalists, and then you got the ones in the middle who kind of want the best of both worlds and kind of what I call the opportunists. So basically the traditionalists, the opportunists, and the feminists. And sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't, and it all depends on the topic. But and see, that's the thing too. A lot of times women who call themselves feminists don't really, it's kind of hard because you don't have to become a member or anything. They should have membership. You should have to pass a test and join some kind of club or organization or something, so that we know that, okay, if you call yourself a feminist, you believe ... Because some women say, oh, I'm a feminist, but then they believe in chivalry. And then there are other feminists that, say, oh, no, but that's what I'm talking about. Why guys who don't really know what women want, because women don't even know what they want as a whole, because they're split. You know, there's the ones who want feminism and chivalry and don't understand how chivalry is the very antithesis of feminism. And it's like, you can't have both. Yes, chivalry is dead or damn near dead. It's on life support because feminists put it there. You know, you said you don't want us to open doors. You said you don't want this and you don't want that. But then there's these other women over here who are complaining about the guys who don't and saying, yeah, we do want this, we do want that, but we are equal and we're all, you know, it's a big mess.
So this goes to my point, which seems to add to a lot of the other that's my point.
Yeah.
Which seems to add to a lot of the social things that are going on in the country. I'll tell you, most crimes, to be honest with you, are over money or a woman or a man. Most crimes, those three things.
Yeah, I agree. Like some sort of relationship and money.
Right. So it's been something that has been obvious for a long time is people don't know how to communicate with each other at all, whether it be about the races, whether it be about gender, whether it be about employment, whether it be about politics, whether it be about video games. It doesn't even fucking matter. People don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. And then when they do communicate with each other, they do the same thing that people do in relationships and put their best foot forward every single time. So now we're not being intellectually honest with each other because we're always talking about, like how, you know, when Gil was getting in trouble about the bastard baby makers.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand why that would upset you, but they exist.
Right.
They may not be you, but they exist.
Right.
And so if we're going to talk about issues within the community, we have to talk about something that exists. So if we're going to talk about relationships, we need to talk relationships, sex,
religion.
I'm talking about just specifically in relationship type of deal. You got communication, you got sex, you have expectations, money, all these things like this need to be talked about on a real basis. And because they don't, people have these real unrealistic expectations because they put their the best face forward. And then if they are able to get into a relationship, that relationship is toxic from the get-go. Or you have cases where people can't get into relationships. And in some cases, if on top of having other mental issues, they end up doing some crazy shit like what happened in Oregon this past week, or what happened in Santa Barbara, last year, or which is very common with, men's rights activists and people who make these weird, crazy, violent rape, death threats to women that say stuff that they don't necessarily agree with or something like that because they're speaking. It seems like I'm blaming women, and I'm not. I'm blaming all of us as a culture, as a society, a global society. Well, I wouldn't say global society, but
I'm blaming the 50s.
In the United States of America, we don't know how to converse when it comes to relationships. And then to add to Molly's point, yeah, I blame the 50s, because the thing about it is people always want to go back to, oh man, dating was this, and this is how we did this, and it was so more clean. It was more, it was less. What's the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea.
Risque and promiscuous, and we had standards, and we did this and that, and blah 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 blah. But at the same token, like the women that are living now that have been married since the 50s don't have any worldly skills whatsoever.
That's the one. Remember, I was saying the lady I ran into, she had never pumped gas in her life. She was like 85. Her husband was in the hospital.
Right.
So we pumped her gas.
So
she had no fucking clue.
So now they have no social skills because we're going to play this complete gender role thing where I'm going to work and you're going to be at home and you're going to do this. Yeah. I mean, if you have the ability to do that in your relationship, all power to you. But it's 2015 and motherfuckers got mortgages for student loan debt. So I got shit to do. And if you're not going to do this shit with me and communicate with me and expect realistic things, and then the dream things that we can do when the time comes, I can't be in this relationship with you. We don't have that conversation. We never have that conversation. It's the guy trying to figure out how to approach, which 90% of the time is wrong, or done in a way where the girl's like, nice try, but I'll give you a B for effort, so I'll talk to you 5 minutes more. You got 5 minutes, nigga. Like, you impress me, right? So now we got to impress this girl, this woman who has not brought anything to the table. So now we're getting to know better. It's all fake. Then we get comfortable and find out who we really are. And we're like, dang, this is who you are? This is who you, for real? Like, I wasted 6 months and you ended up being the craziest motherfucker I've met in my entire life. And on both sides. On both sides we do this shit. Nobody's honest about anything.
Hey, I'll say, though, that in The Perfect Guy, he made it clear much sooner than 6 months.
That he was crazy? Yeah.
He did.
So that kind of, this conversation, this topic here kind of is a nice segue into something that was going on in LA yesterday. I thought maybe you would have known about this since it was in your neck of the woods, but you probably was busy doing your thing. But Amber Rose on October 3rd, I'm pretty sure she's doing more of these. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that it was trending on Twitter a little while ago, and I know a few people that actually attended that are Facebook friends or whatnot. And so she did a slut walk, which basically is a rally to focus on the message, to combat sexism, racism,
homophobia,
transphobia, all that kind of stuff like that. That a woman should be able to do what she wants, wear what she wants, act how she wants, do whatever the fuck she wants, whether that be I'm going to be a traditionalist or I'm going to be a hoe or whatever it is. I don't like that term, but just to make the point, and not be judged either way for it. They should just be like, oh, she does that. Cool. All right. Well, that's what she does. They should just
be like, oh, you like to have sex? Me too.
Right. So basically, what a good portion of the attendees of the rally, they go wearing next to nothing, or they go wearing lingerie, or what have you.
Like bar outfits, like walk of shame clothes.
Walk of shame clothes,
which is perfect.
Because she did you see the Funny or Die where she did the
slut walk, their slut shame video?
The walk of shame.
Walk of shame.
No, I didn't see
Look it up. It's awesome.
It's pretty funny. So Amber comes out of this house where obviously she had sex with someone she had met the night before, and so the milkman is there. And he's like, well, I'm guessing by your demeanor last night you had sex. And she was like, well, yes, I did. And he was like, oh, wow, I'm so happy for you and the decisions that you decided to make for yourself and stuff like that. So she's walking down the street and people are like, oh, you're an inspiration to my daughter. And, stuff like, one of my favorite ones is the little boy. Favorite. I think she got fucked last night. And then mom's like, yes, son, I think she did.
Wow.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I won't ruin the ending for you. It's only like a 2-minute little clip thing, so I won't ruin the ending for you. But at the end of it, encapsulates all of it. Where, the guy's like, oh, you didn't get my number. I didn't give you my number. And she was like, no, I didn't. Because I didn't want to.
Right.
And I don't have to. Because I can do whatever it is I want. Be lucky that you got the punani the night that you did, and then, got in them guts.
Oh my God, I hate that.
It's kind of ironic, though, because women have been getting on guys for that behavior forever.
What do you mean?
That behavior you just described,
who you are.
Yeah, whatever. Like having sex and not getting a number. Guy did. So it's not just slut shaming. The guys have kind of, like I said, sexism kind of cuts both ways a lot of times.
Sexism cuts both ways all the time. And that's the thing about it. At the end of the day, is like, look, there's whether we break it down or not, there's always going to be racism somewhere, some way, shape, or form. How you control it, how you balance it out, is what we're supposed to do as a society. No matter what we do, there's always going to be sexism. There's always going to be some sort of bias towards one thing or another. I mean, and a lot of it is just natural. Say, for instance, one thing that I definitely disagree with, but I understand the theory of it, yet it's still kind of fucked up, is, in cases with custody, where in a lot of states, more often than not, custody is going to go to the woman, no matter what. And on a thinking of it kind of like logically that makes sense. But every situation is going to be different. And, when you look at the system as a whole, yes, there is a bias towards women when it comes to custody. But then that's why the courts are supposed to look at certain different situations and circumstances. I can't speak today. No.
I was reading John a story about a week ago. There was a man in another state, whatever it was, and his girlfriend, he was a black guy, his girlfriend was white, and he got her pregnant. Her parents were super racist. She swore that she was not going to give this baby away for adoption. He wasn't living with her. He didn't see her every day. He didn't hear from her for a few days. So he was like, hey, you okay? She sends him a picture of her pregnant. So he's thinking everything's fine. Finds out a few days later when people show up at his house to sign adoption papers that even though she promised that she wouldn't do an adoption, she had given the baby away. So he had to fight for, I think it went on for almost 2 years, for rights to his daughter that he never ever wanted to be without. Like, that's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it's a little fucked up.
That's crazy. I understand that the woman has all the rights, while being pregnant, as far as abortion and all that. But if and that's where people say that, I'm an MRA because I'm standing up for men. No, you want good fathers, but then you don't want the father to mean shit. They're insignificant.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about, where sexism, there's always going to be an issue with sexism, because you got to look at it from the court's point of view, especially when this kind of precedent was set. During this time period, when that precedent was set, men were at work all the time and go out and have their little cocktail after their long day at work, and because you only needed a single person income and things such as that. And so naturally, if we were going to split this up and you're going to, do custody, well, it seems that they would be better served with the mother because the mother has a better relationship in that kind of point of view. And that's where, things are supposed to be individualized. And so when it comes to the slut walk and things such as that, the part of it that I don't quite understand is the haters. Oh, this is horrible. What would they walk around like that for? You should have some common decency and blah, 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 blah. Nigga, how were you born? Someone had sex.
Right.
So the fact that you even have the ability to have an opinion at all right now is due in part because somebody got up all them in them guts. There's
not many phrases that bug me.
No, I get
that bugs the shit out of me.
All up in them guts.
It's not one of my favorites either.
Oh, you don't like that one?
I mean, I don't have a, if somebody else chooses to use this, okay, but I don't use it.
I don't normally use it.
He does it
when I'm on a roll.
I hate it.
When I'm on a roll and stuff pops up in my head and it,
yeah, I hear you.
Entertaining.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah, I hear you. No problem. I'm just a little weird. I don't even refer to, when I use fuck, I don't even use it for sex. I just use it as a curse word, fuck. That's how I use fuck. I don't like using fuck for sex.
What do you like to use?
Sex.
I never would have thought of that.
Well, you know, when you're with your boys and everything, and you know, you having a conversation, you gotta, you know.
I will say this. I will say this. I have used it more, like lately. Like I may have said it like on the show, and like over the last few years, I've kind of loosened up with it. I still don't use it to describe me and my wife's relationship or relations, but I think I have, you know, I will on occasion use it, like maybe in talking about porn or something like that, or, you know, it just, you know, mostly because of the show. You know what I mean? Mostly because of the show or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've loosened up with it a little bit, but it's still not my favorite term. But prior to like the show in the last few years, whatever, I never would ever. I even had a girlfriend who told me like, don't you ever just want to fuck? How come you never just say, come fuck me? Or why don't you like, it's like, I don't roll like that.
So that was her deal breaker, and you guys broke up after 6 months after getting to know each other.
Yeah, no. That's not what happened, but
I had a feeling. I was trying to tie it back in. But so what do you think? What do you think about this? The Amber Rose slut walk?
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm okay with it. You know, I'm cool. I'm cool with people. You know, if what I like to say it I use as my gauge or my bar. If they're consenting adults and they're not hurting anybody, there's little that I get upset about people doing. You know, the trans thing, and you know, homosexual, cisgender, and pansexual, all that stuff. I'm like, you know, hey, if you know you're grown and the person you're doing your thing with is grown, hey, whatever, it's cool. So, you know, as far as the slut walk, whatever, I understand that women, you know, they don't like the whole double standard, and they want to be able to be free, you know, and be able to just have sex indiscriminately without being shamed for it, whatever. I get that. I don't have a problem with that.
But
yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's just kind of like, I think people, men or women, you know, take a lot of heat. Granted, women take more, you know, but men that behave in the same manner, they get a lot of heat. Not so much from men, but from other women. You know, as a matter of fact, I recall back in my youth when I had a little bachelor place, and it was my buddy and my nephew, and well, actually, let me see. At this time, it was just me and my buddy. It was my first apartment on my own. So I was like 22 in college. My buddy was about the same age, maybe like a year or two younger than me. And we moved into this, you know, apartment building and everything. And we one day we were out in the courtyard, either coming or going, I forget which, but there was a neighbor across the courtyard, another apartment, who had a friend who was visiting her, and she was kind of like looking over at us like, oh, look at that apartment, you know, with all these young guys, like, what's going on over there? Or I don't know if she saw a guy that she liked, you know, or what, but it was, you know, it was like 3 or 4 of us, me and my buddy that lived there, and 2 other friends, and probably a couple of girls too. There was always a lot of people around, you know, young 20s and, you know, college. There's always, you know, even when it wasn't a party, it was a party. You know what I mean? It was always a party, even when it wasn't a party, it was a party. So she said something. She got really like, she's like, why are you looking over there? You they hoes. And we looked at each other. We was like, excuse me, what? Who is she talking to? We're like, what's going on? Like, we've never spoken to this woman before ever, right? Never had any problem, you know. And when we did, it wasn't late at night. We didn't bother anybody. We kept to ourselves, you know, minded our own business. We had company or whatever, but we kept it reasonable, you know. And my buddy was like, "Excuse me, you talking about us? You talking about us? Who you calling a hoe or whatever?" She's like, y'all ain't nothing but hoes. I see all them women coming in and out of there different times of night and the day and this and that and whatever. And the thing, and he was like, well, not that it's any of your business, but only one woman comes over here for me because I have a girlfriend or whatever. So, you know, and you know what business of is it of yours anyway? And this and that, you know. Right. And so, you know, most people came to the conclusion like she was upset because she wanted to be invited over. Invited over. That's what I was thinking. But I don't know I don't know if that was the case or not. But the thing is, you know, like my buddy said, not that was any of her business, and I didn't even bother to explain because I was like, fuck her, I don't know her, and I don't give a fuck about what she thinks. But most of the women that were coming in and out were female friends, platonic friends. You know, I'm still friends with them to this day, and we weren't doing anything. We were hanging out, you know. But you know, some of them were dates or whatever you can call it, and but most of them were not. I wish I had it like that, but that's not even the point. The point is just that, you know, she saw lots of pretty girls coming and going and just assumed that that's what was going on, and therefore we were hoes, you know. So my whole point. But
at the end of the day, what does that even mean?
Right, but at the same, exactly. What does it even mean? I guess it means somebody who's promiscuous, which there's already a word for it. But you know how we're colorful. People were colorful, and people like slang, and people. And my whole thing, when it comes down to it, is like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but people can also do whatever they want, and sometimes people have names for things, and if you kind of fit a description, you know, and if you truly don't care, then why the fuck are you having, you know, why, if it's really about what you want to do, and then who gives a fuck is my thing. Like, really, you know, I don't know. So I have kind of mixed feelings about it, because I don't think that every name that we have for things is necessarily bad. You know, it's something that is, and I mean, there are people who are more promiscuous than others, you know. So I don't know, and you know, especially if you want to get in the technical term. The technical, you know, somebody has sex for money. There's definitely those, which is really what a hoe is. And then the slut, I guess, is supposed to be just somebody who just has sex for the fun of it, the promiscuous person. So, I mean, there's names for things because there are things and they mean things. And what's that old saying? If the shoe fits, you know, I kind of feel like how, like, okay, retarded is now a banned word. Why? Retarded is a word that means something. It means someone who is mentally retarded, somebody who has an IQ of like, I forget what it is technically, but like below 70 or 65 or something like that. That is what retarded means. It is not a bad word. It never was a bad word.
Well, it gets used that way.
Exactly. It gets used that way. It gets used that way. It's the same thing with idiot, moron. They all have a definition. You know, there's actual character, but people are people. People will take the word and then they're going to misapply it and overapply it and shorten it and make fun of it. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad word. And then for us to go ahead and pick a new word and change definitions and all that stuff, that's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. It's just it's legislating semantics, you know, or being politically correct, and it means nothing. At the end of the day, it means nothing. Saying the kid is mentally disabled versus retarded, neither one of them is a bad term or bad. They mean the exact same fucking thing, and one is no more, you know, incorrect than the other.
That's why I'm all about like positive, kind of like nigga.
Mm-hmm.
I like nigga.
I like nigga too. Because, and I refuse to give it up. Fuck that.
Right. No, I ain't fuck that. Because my point of view of it is like, nigger is a word and it has a meaning.
Yep.
And that meaning has been perverse over time and now means something absolutely fucking horrible.
Right.
So the people that it was used against in order to psychologically hold them down, what they've done is they've appropriated it, now own it, and use it as a term of endearment.
Yes. And we're not the first. We're not the first people to do that in history. That's done time and time again. More of just as in the near recent history, the term gay. Gay. First of all, let's talk about homosexuals for a minute, because they got a couple of words that they've appropriated. First of all, gay. They took gay.
Before we get into that, hold your thought. We're gonna let YouTube go. So that's a nice place to end it. Please don't forget your point. It's been real, YouTube. You can hear the rest of the show in about an hour or two when we post it. But as for now, this is all you get. And if you want to hear
just the tip,
that's what she said.
It's just the tip. Before we get all in them guts. All right, so it's been real, YouTube. We'll catch you on the audio side.